Guys, we're going through my hometown en route to a speaking engagement this morning. It's about 6:51. We left about 6:15 this morning. And you know, as I go through my hometown of Woodbury, Tennessee, my hometown has a high percentage of poverty. I think 6 out of 10 kids are on free or reduced lunch, which means very poor, not very progressive, no industry, no business. You know, I really didn't know that we didn't have any money growing up. I was raised by a single mom, had me when she was 16 years old, and she used to take me to the ball field as early as 5 and 6 years old, maybe even earlier. And it was really these coaches that were at the ball field that really became kind of my surrogate parents. And one particular coach named Mickey Vinson took an interest in me, and she noticed something in me. They tell us that a unique ability is detected very early in life, many times by another person. Like, you can't see what it is that makes you unique because it's natural. It was, you know, hardwired in you by the manufacturer. So I remember always wanting to show up to practice early. I remember trying to answer all the questions. And I remember Mickey Vinson at 6 years old saying to me, "Son, one of these days you're going to be a great coach." Now, I want you to think about the power of that. So I'm hearing that at 6 years old. And then I would stay at the ball field for hours and hours because we didn't have anything to do in this hometown. You either grew up involved in sports or you really got in trouble. You know, you did drugs, you drank a lot of alcohol, you did things people do in small towns because there's nothing to do. And so thank God for the ball field and Mickey affirming that. And I would go down to the ball field and stay for 6, 7, 8, 10 hours. I kept the score books, I coached, I umpired, I played, you know, and it was really there that I began to see how much coaches really cared about kids, how much coaches really cared about people. And Mickey was just kind of pulling that out of me. And then around 15 years old, one of those coaches who was one of my coaches in baseball called me one day out of the blue, and he said, "Man, will you come help me be a junior pro basketball coach?" And I said, "I would love to." I was a point guard on the high school basketball team. I said, "I would love to come be a coach with you." And I went down and started coaching basketball at 15 years old, and man, I loved it. I loved every second of it. I immediately knew, like, this whole thing is coming around. Mickey's telling me I'm going to be a great coach. I was actually a better baseball player than basketball, but I loved it. I loved coaching those kids. I loved mapping out the games. And so it was at 15 that I said, I'm going to be a coach. I'm going to become a coach. And so for 2 or 3 years, I'm 15 years old. I'm coaching the 9 to 12-year-olds. I was very passionate, and I had all this unbridled enthusiasm. And so, man, I got ejected from, I think, 2 junior pro basketball games. Got a standing ovation on the way out. The local junior pro was ran by a guy named Teddy Taylor and a group of friends. Teddy is now my bus driver, and he was there. And it would shock you today if you saw how many coaches came out of that little town. Me, Brandon Burks, Rick Insell, Corey Barrett. Teddy's son went on to be an NBA official, the youngest NBA official in the NBA, all out of this little town that we're going through. And so I always heard, though, growing up in a small town, you know, you'll never be anything good. Nothing good comes out of Woodbury. It reminds me of Nathaniel. When they went to tell Nathaniel that Jesus wanted him to follow him, Nathaniel said, "Can anything good come out of Nazareth?" Can anything good come out of that little town? And that's kind of how I felt. So I had a lot of early success, but then I went to college at 17, 18 years old to a university with 23,000 people, and I had no confidence. I was incredibly shy. I was in remedial courses. I mean, you know, and I finished 8th in my class. How did I finish 8th in my class and have to take remedial math? You know, and that just tells you that the quality of the education wasn't that strong, or I wasn't a very good student. And so, I go to college and I sit on the back row. I wear a hat every day. I don't talk to girls. I don't join any fraternities. I don't do anything, man. I'm just sitting in the back playing under the radar because my confidence is so low. And the only place I got confidence was in coaching. So 17, 18 years old, I go over to the local elementary school here, and we're driving through the Hardys I used to look at I used to pump gas right across the street at a gas station right over here. I was the worst gas pumper in the world, man. I mean, I was the worst gas pumper in the world. Hated that job. And I literally remember people gathering to watch them build that Hardee's. That's how we didn't have a Hardee's. We didn't have Sonic, McDonald's, anything. People would drive over there and just sit there and watch them construct that Hardee's. Nothing going on in this town. So at 18 years old, we're about to pass the elementary school that I went back to called Woodbury Grammar School. It's right back there on that road. And I went into the principal's office and I said, I'd like to be the head boys basketball coach of this school. And he said, man, you're just 18 years old. We can't give you the job. And in sales, it takes 7 to 15 touches 80% of the time to convert a prospect to a client. And I didn't know that at the time, but I had persistence. I had revelation. I'm supposed to be a coach. I had conviction, believed in myself. I took action. I go over there to be a coach, and I start coaching this team, and they put an adult with me. Funny thing is, we're about to go by the Woodbury Greatness Factory. They're working out in there right now.
Oh, yeah.
Those ladies in there. I'm coaching this little team, and man, in the first year, we won a state championship. I'm coaching these kids like they're in the NBA. I wear a suit. And we win a championship and go 31-5 my first year. And I said, man, this is it. This is confirmation that I need to be doing this. So I come back another year. We get beat in the championship game my second year. But I remember hearing something. I don't remember who said it. Every day at your current job is an interview for your next job, right? So I get a phone call from the head coach at Riverdale, and he said, man, I've seen you coach your little team, and I would love to have you come to Riverdale and be one of my assistant coaches. I was only making $199.50 at Woodbury Grammar. That's how much they paid me. They used my second year salary to put a new commode. We're going past an old house I used to live in, and it's bad, man. If I showed you pictures of that house, can't even believe it. At one point I lived there. So we didn't have any money. So I'm coaching this team. Now I'm going to Riverdale, which is the second largest high school in Tennessee. I become an assistant coach. And I decide, man, I want to be a head coach. That's my dominant focus. So 3 years later, I become the head coach at 21, 22 years old. I was going to college the whole time. I would go to college in the morning. I would go coach my team in the afternoon. And I was focused, singularly focused. See, too many people are distracted by all these things. I like to buckle down on one concept and just go get it. So I became the head coach at Riverdale. And 3 years later, because of all these experiences, began writing a book. And I said, man, I wish someone would have told me all the mistakes that I made coaching from 15 to 25. And I wrote this little book called Changing Lives Through Coaching. Because you're probably wondering, how did you become a coach, a speaker, build a business, become an entrepreneur? I really just went out and tried to help other people. And when I wrote that book, companies began to call me and say, will you speak to my group? Will you help? Will you come over and speak to my team? And I go over and speak to their team about the very things I was using to win at Riverdale in that first book, Changing Lives Through Coaching. And then they asked me to come back. Will you come back? Will you coach our team? And I really, really enjoyed it. Now let me backtrack one more part. At 15 years old, a local dentist in town named Daryl Deason took an interest in me, and he was a theater person. Drama, theater, and he said, one of these days you're going to be a great speaker. And so 4 nights a week I would go to his house and he would teach me how to speak, how to pivot, how to write a speech. So put those two things together. Put Mickey Vincent at 6 years old. Put that question at 15 of me coaching junior pro by another guy. And that guy ended up in prison, I think. I mean, he turned out to be a bad dude, but he had a good heart. He just couldn't make good decisions, And take that dentist at 15, and now look at where I am today at 41 years old. Okay, I own a coaching business. I went on to win a championship at Riverdale. I've written the 12 or 13 books. I own a coaching business, and all day, every day, what do? I speak and I coach people. Now, where did that start? It started in that little town right there. We just rode by the Greatness Factory that I bought in my hometown. This morning, women are in there working out. Isn't that cool? They don't have a gym in my hometown. They don't have a gym. They don't have karate. They don't have gymnastics. They don't have anything. So I went back and bought this building and turned it into a Greatness Factory. And it's cool this morning to ride by and see women in there working out because they got nowhere else to go except they go to another town. So I'm telling you this because I do think good things can come out of small towns. And I'm telling you this because this is 41 years in the making. But when did I start? I started at really 5 and 6. Started coaching at 15. A lot of people don't figure some of these things out until they're 40, 50 years old, what they're supposed to be doing with their life, what their purpose is. They don't figure out how to leverage their talents. And then they really don't have the discipline, which is just a derivative of the word disciple, which means to give yourself to a person or cause you believe in. Do you believe in your future or not? And if you believe in your future, you're willing to do what it takes to go manifest it. And that means be on a bus at 6:15 in the morning. That means go get what you're supposed to go get. The Bible talks about taking dominion. If you don't take dominion over your area, somebody else will. Take your talent, go get it, man. Just go get it. So just every time I go to my hometown and through my hometown, I remember that. You know, I remember that's the genesis of where this whole thing started. And for you, there's a story of origin, and that story of origin is where your deal started. And take it from the end to where you are today, and start figuring out how you bundled and packaged all this stuff. See, people are paying me today for my past. My past helps them build their future. See, 40, X number of years of coaching, 30-something years of coaching. It's not over. You hear that 10-year overnight success story? It makes it look easy. Oh, man, it looks easy. The people who are good, it looks easy. You know why it looks easy? Because they've been doing it for 30 or 40 years, man. They have truly mastered something. So go back to your story of origin and see how you can get to where you're supposed to be. More than anything, go out there and grab your potential. Whatever your calling is, you need to be pushing and exerting force toward that. It's not going to happen. An object at rest stays at rest. Let me tell you the sad part about this story. A lot of my friends I went to high school with, one just died last week. Listen, a lot of my friends never pursued their potential. They may have been most likely to succeed, smartest person in the class. I won Prince of Personality. What kind of crappy award is that? I didn't get most popular, best looking. This guy's got the best personality of everybody, right? Looking back on it, I guess it wasn't even that good of an award. But a lot of the people who were supposed to succeed have not pursued their potential. Does that make sense? They had seeds of greatness in them, but they didn't go get it for whatever reason. Most of it's because they were trapped. They were trapped in that town. They never got out. They never got exposed. They never got coaching. They never understood how to invest in themselves. So if we interviewed all of them today and asked them, are you driving your potential? I bet many of them wouldn't even take the interview. They had all that upside, but they just didn't go get it. And so that's what I want to encourage you today is it's out there. My granddad used to say it's out there. You just got to reach for it. You just got to push. And that's what this story's about.